and welcome to the 2011 William D. Reimert Lecture featuring Maya Ajmera, the founder of the Global Fund for Children. Here's what she's been able to do. The Global Fund for Children to date has helped over 1.5 million children and has awarded more than $21 million in grants to organizations in 76 countries. Her efforts have been chronicled on The Oprah Winfrey Show, CNN, and many national outlets.
I want to talk to you about children now and what's going on and how Global Fund for Children is supporting the needs. 2 weeks ago, you learned that there are 7 billion people on this earth. 1 billion of those are poor children and youth. And 500 million, 500 million of those children and youth are invisible.
And so I had this wonder, after my travels, I said, I want to develop children's books that teach children about the global village that we live in and the connections we all share. And so we've developed a range of children's books, from To Be a Kid, To Be an Artist, which really show the connections that all children have. All kids go to school, but they go to school differently. All kids have arts in their lives. They dance, they play drums, they act, they sing, but they do it differently. And I wanted to show this through positive imagery of children because most of the images we see of children are negative. And I wanted to show positive images of children. And I wanted to do that early, when they're just born, to as they grow up, to the time that they're 8 or 9 years old, because that's the time when they're really developing their impressions of other people. So let me tell you about some of these groups that we've supported. In Afghanistan, in the mid-1990s, the Taliban regime was in power and they made education for girls illegal. If girls were found being educated, they were stoned to death. There's an extraordinary woman named Sakina Akubi who runs the Afghan Institute of Learning. When I met her, she was living in Peshawar, Pakistan, going over the border to Jalalabad and Kabul to teach mothers and teachers how to educate their daughters and girls secretly so they would not be killed. She wanted $5,000 from us to educate 700 girls in Kabul and Jalalabad. We gave that to her. We backed her. We backed the Afghan Institute of Learning. And September 11th happened, and we called her and said, what can we do to help you now? And she said, I can't believe you're even calling me. And I said, no. It's more important that we help you now. What can we do? And she says, I need to educate our boys. Our boys are on the street. They're being pushed into schools that I don't believe are educating them properly. So we provided funding for schools for boys. Today, Afghan Institute of Learning is the largest nonprofit in Afghanistan that supports 400,000 women and children with education and healthcare.
So that gives you a flavor of our work. 500 organizations, 80 countries, and we're looking to do a lot more, the organization is, because we know it's a model that works. And it's something that I think policymakers and governments now need to look at very seriously. And what was interesting in our first book, Children from Australia to Zimbabwe, I had Mary Wright Edelman, who's going to write the foreword, who's the president of the Children's Defense Fund. I had this big vision, and I went up to New York, and I had an agent, and we showed it around. We were turned down by every publisher in New York. And I also had that fellowship, Equity Green called me and said, you're a sinking ship. If you can't figure out how to publish that book, you're not going to get your next tranche of money. So as any entrepreneur, I started thinking, what am I going to do? And I found this book called How Do You Self-Publish? And I self-published Children from Australia to Zimbabwe. It seems daunting for a young person to think about starting something from scratch. But I think one of the things to have is passion, optimism, I call it hallucinogenic optimism, and an idea, and having great mentors to surround you. And I hope after our exercise today, Cedar Crest is going to give you that place to think about starting your own ventures, whether they are a nonprofit to help other people or whether it's a small business. But what I want to hopefully get across is that women's colleges provide a certain amount of determination and courage, and you're here in a very, very special place.